very early, just after 5 a.m. It's already getting light, as you can see. There's a real racket going on from cockerels and dogs. I didn't get the best night's sleep. I've had 2 cups of instant coffee and some instant noodles for breakfast, and that is going to have to do. We're going to get out on the road because we've got a big day ahead. Excuse me, dogs. This is where I was staying, Family Lodge in Tinnack. I have to say, it's not the most appealing town I've been to. And there are other words I could use. It is a dump, man. So I avoided that thunderstorm yesterday, but then when I started descending from the highest point, it started raining again. And because I knew I was close and I was cold, I just went for it, but I got a soaking. Which means everything's still a bit damp. It's about 5:30, already light, didn't sleep well. Didn't eat all that well. I had some very nasty fried chicken this morning and white rice. But that's how it goes. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose on the road. You have a few good days and then out of the door and literally straight into the first climb. Steep, short one. It's one way to wake up. That 1k climb turned out to be nearly a 4k climb with some horribly steep ramps, like 25% at one point. But that's kind of opposite, because today, on today's ride, we are going to attempt, and I say attempt, and I mean it, to climb Mount Timback, which not only is the mother of all climbs, but the mother, father, grandparents. It is, and I don't say this lightly, perhaps, cue music, the toughest road climb in the world. Some real gravel here. And the rains yesterday haven't helped that. That was very steep. But they have cleared things up a lot, so it's nice to get some views of the mountains, decent clear views. A fair trade. That's quite a view. I did ask for advice on this route from the Philippines bikepacking group, and various people told me, oh yeah, it's all completely paved. This has been a gnarly, techie, dirty gravel section, which I like, but it's been good to be prepared for it. Got a little off track there, a little bit lost. The route didn't quite go where it was supposed to, and I think I'm back on it. I did ask someone, but people speak very little English around here, which is unusual in the Philippines. So I am hiker biking on a very steep rocky track, but hopefully only for a couple of hundred meters, and then I should meet a decent trail, path, maybe even a road. Oh yeah, baby, back on track. But I could have done without that super adventurous bit. What with the mother of all climbs coming up. More on that in a moment. Pretty wild bit. Yeah, so this climb, it's called Mount Timbuk. Stats are 10k long, 1500 meters of ascent in 10k. Now, only 16 people have ever done it on Strava, and I've chatted with 2 of them, and both of those 2 had also done Torre, the one I did last week, and said it was way harder. On the gravel, this is, although I like gravel, this is slowing me up and using a lot of energy. Okay, it ends just here. Looks like there's been a landslip here. Slow down. Accident area prone. No shit, Sherlock. Before we even get to Mount Timbuk, we've got a pre-climb, another pre-climb. 5k at 12%. Woo. Moving much slower than I thought I would be. So we'll get to the top of this and then we'll do some thinking, reassessing. Everything's up for grabs. This solitary house perched on the side of the cliff. They've got the view. When I was sitting out that thunderstorm yesterday, I was chatting with the locals, the guy who ran the petrol pumps, and he said that it had been dry for weeks, but the last few days it had been raining heavily, mountain thunderstorm heavily, which I kind of didn't quite take in at the time, but in the wee hours of the night when I couldn't sleep, I thought, several days of hard rain on a remote, very steep mountain road. Is that a good idea? And then I just rolled over and tried to go back to sleep. All this detritus on the road, stones, water, all from the last few days' rains. And that guy told me something else which I'd sort of forgotten, which was, he said he thought there was a good chance there'd been landslides up on Timbuk. Anyway, Timbuk aside, staying in the present, this is an absolute beauty of a climb. Very steep in places, no traffic, wide enough to zigzag a bit, although I'm not a great zigzagger, I tend to just go straight up. Beautiful out, about 20 degrees, although sweating heavily. The clearest I've seen since I arrived here, which I'm really loving. So how crisp those mountains are. Another 3.7 on here, still 500 to climb, that's 15% average. Heading up to the pass, looking over into the next valley now. Still a few hundred meters to go. Still another 100 meters of climbing. It's getting chilly as well, we're way over 2,000 meters, nearly 2,300. And that's the top. That was a tough little climb. So, reassessment time. We have been riding nearly 2.5 hours. We have covered 17 kilometers and climbed 1,260 meters. That is insane. That's, well, an average speed of about 7 kilometers an hour. And that's averaging about 7,000 meters climbed in 100k. That is just insane. Now, I think this may not come as a surprise, but I've made a decision, and Mount Timbuk, I'm pulling the plug. This lady smiling at me. Morning. They apparently call this the veggie bowl of the Philippines, and I can see why. I don't think I've ever seen such an intensely agriculturally farmed mountain region. So much work to clear all these stones to make the walls. These guys are out carrying cabbages already. okay, I'm not lost, but I need to make a plan for how to get back to Baguio if I'm not going to go over the Timbuk. And that's tricky because there seems to be very limited Wi-Fi around here. Coming into the town of Kabayan, I'll see what I can find here. Definitely be good to get some food and then think about how to get home. Well, the good news is we found a route. Combination of, I always have maps.me loaded on my phone with the appropriate map. Maps.me, if you don't know it, is a offline mapping. So Google Maps, you can download maps, but it's a faff. So if you've only got Google Maps and there's no connection, you're in trouble. But I use maps.me and my computer's quite intelligent, and we found a route. The bad news is still a lot of climbing. I'm in a 5k 10% climb, slightly nasty. Then it goes all the way down, and then we've got like a 20k climb back up to Baguio. Happy birthday! We're headed for the dam and then big climb, but not super steep, back up to Baguio City. Just had a fresh mango, could have been sweeter. Big old suspension bridge. I'd like to see this river in full spate. My goodness, that whole hillside is on fire. Wow. Certainly need some rain there. Back to the Amber Cloud Dam, where we were days ago. Feels like we're nearly home. There's still 40k and quite a bit of climbing to do yet though. I'm sort of running on fumes. I think you'd probably be horrified if I told you how little I'd eat today, but I've just really struggled to find anything I want to eat. So I've been living on snacks and some instant noodles for breakfast. Not ideal, but I think I can get up the last big climb and then back into town, and then I can get some decent grub. Into the last big hard climb. It's about 19 kilometers in total, 1200 meters of ascent. Pretty cooked, but it's mainly because I've descended. We're down to about 700 meters, so it's hot. It's the middle of the day. It's very hot. Once we get up, as ever, it'll start to cool down. Start to get a bit later as well, so maybe 40 minutes of this, 45 minutes, and then hopefully it should start to ease. Back into Baguio, back into traffic though. Baguio, city of pines, actually translates as, Baguio comes from the Igorot, the indigenous people's word for moss, because it's mossy here, mossy and piney. So famous for that. Of course, there was nothing here before the Americans came. I think there was just an Igorot village, or not even, just a campground. This is around the turn of the last century, so sort of 1900. The Americans realised, having learned from the British, that it's better off not sweating your nuts off down in 45 degrees in Manila when you can chill out in the mountains in 30. And thus, Baguio was born. And that's it, we're back, we're almost home. That last 19 kilometers nearly broke me, and I got some food at the base. I think without that I'd have been in trouble. Not great food, very little protein, but I think that helped. Anyway, what a tour that was. One of the best mountain tours I've ever done, I think. Absolutely superb, and so different from everywhere else as well. I enjoyed it, I hope you did, and if you did, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe if you're not, and see you all soon, very soon, on today's ride.